Of course, your comments are welcome because we are live on all your social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, and of course, on myjoyonline.com. Now, let's settle and take you straight to the court because 46 protesters arrested by the police during the 3-day Stop Galamsey protest are expected to be put before court this afternoon. The protesters were arrested together with the convener for the Face the Country movement, Oliver Bakovomao, for allegedly engaging in unlawful activity during the period of the demonstration. Lawyers for these protesters say they are still yet to be fully informed of the whereabouts of all the protesters arrested. Shortly, I will take you live to the court for an update because they are now back in the court and the lawyers will now have the opportunity to intervene on their behalf. Before that, though, let me bring you a statement issued by their lawyers in the last few hours. And we have that statement on your screen now. And this is the Democracy Hub urgent update on detained protesters. And they say that they've received alarming information regarding the status of protesters detained during the recent Stop Galamsey demonstration. And we are compelled to share the following urgent update with the public and, of course, the media. Relocation of detainees. As at 10 a.m. this morning, they say that we learned that the protesters who were forcibly taken into custody by the Ghana Police Service have been moved from various stations to the police headquarters in Osu. They are also alleged inhuman treatment. They say that the detained individuals have been separated into groups of 10 and placed in buses. They are currently being held without any official communication regarding the reason for the arrest. Denial of legal representation, another issue they are raising. They claim that the citizens are being denied access to their legal representatives, a clear violation of their fundamental human rights. And they want the media outlets to dispatch reporters to the National Police Headquarters immediately, given the track record of police impunity and the apparent complicity of the state justice system. We cannot trust that the rights and safety of these individuals will be respected without public scrutiny. They are also raising concern about this situation, describing it as underscoring the deep-seated concerns about the abuse of power by law enforcement and the erosion of citizens' right to peaceful protest and due process. Democracy Hub reiterates its commitment to transparency, justice, and the protection of civil liberties. We stand firm in our demand for the immediate release of all detained protesters and for full accountability for those actions. And we implore the media to act swiftly in covering this developing story. The eyes of the nation must be on the police headquarters. And this is signed by Democracy Hub. So this is a statement that came in around 11 a.m. And this afternoon, what we are learning is that the police took those they arrested, 40 of them, to the court. And as we speak, their plea is being taken. And then we will know in the coming minutes or hours the police action regarding the way forward. So those are the pictures you have on your screens is when the police took the protester to court about an hour ago, and the lawyers for the protesters, and what we have been told that some of them already pleaded not guilty. Somebody said that he was on his way from church and he was arrested, even though he wasn't there to protest, and it's also been taken to court this afternoon. Shortly, I will take you live to the court and get the very latest on this matter. My colleague Kenneth Jesse is in court covering this developing story. As you see, these are the protesters, coming out of the police van, and now will have their day. They're already having their day in court, and I'm sure that their lawyers will ask that they be granted bail, and then the police clearly will make the point that they are still continue with their investigation. I'll bring in my colleague Kenneth Jesse, also speak to lawyers for some of those arrested shortly. Let me take you live to the court now. Kenneth Jesse is my man on the ground. So Kenneth, bring us up to speed about what is happening in the court now.
Currently they're before the court, and then about 10 of them are being represented by one lawyer. Their charges are being read to them. Some of the charges include causing unlawful damage, offense, conduct due to breach of peace, assault on police officers, conspiracy to commit crime, namely unlawful assembly. Now, all 10 of them have pleaded not guilty to the charges. So the charges are currently being read to them, and I can tell you that there's heavy security present here. I covered the first day of the protest, And the scene there, you could see that the police were not armed to the teeth on that day like they are armed to the teeth today. And then one person that is missing from the courtroom today is the convener of the group, Oliver Bakavomo. We've not cited him so far, but as we speak, there are about 4 women in the courtroom. The men are over 20. The charges are being, read to them. At the beginning, the lawyer told them that they do not know why they have been arrested. It's been 3 days, according to the protesters. They've not been given food, no water. They've not been told why they have been arrested. So the court is currently in session, reading out their charges to them one by one.
So Kenneth, from the list that you heard, what justification is the police providing to the court, the reason behind the arrest, and why they've been kept in custody for close to 2 days now?
The police have, so far, we've not heard from the police, but from the state prosecutor, we can deduce that they are trying to say that, for example, offense conduct due to breach of peace. They are accusing them of destroying billboards, distracting public peace, destroying properties, especially billboards and party paraphernalia belonging to the New Patriotic Party, some also belonging to the National Democratic Congress. So as it stands now, we've not had the official stance of the Ghana Police Service, but from the little that we've had in the room, these are some of the reasons that led to the arrest.
So how many in all are before the court this afternoon? Well,
this afternoon there are over 30, actually. I don't have the exact figure because they keep bringing them in in batches. You'll be there and you see about 3 or 4 people enter the room. But as it stands now, there are about more than 30 people in the room, with 4 being women, and included in that list is social media influencer and lawyer, I'm a governor.
And then the leader of this democracy hub, Oliver Voma, you say that he's yet to be cited?
No, he's yet to be cited, and according to my sources, he will be presented before the court tomorrow because he was arrested yesterday. These ones were arrested earlier than that. So he and the ones that were arrested yesterday will be put before the court tomorrow. I'm
guessing that it's early to get a word from the lawyers.
Say again?
I'm guessing that it's early at this stage to get a word from the lawyers.
Exactly. We are likely to get a word or two from the lawyers when the court goes on recess, and we'll be following it keenly and bringing our listeners and viewers up to speed with events that will unfold here.
Right, so we'll come back to you pretty shortly on this developing matter, because now they are all before the court, 30 of them, according to Kenneth. Others will be put before court tomorrow, and that will include the leader of the Democracy Hub, Oliver Vomawo, who was also arrested yesterday. The lawyers, they've insisted that they've done no wrong, and they don't see the justification in the police, in the reason the police arrested them and now before the court. Now, we'll take you back to the court, but before though, let me bring you a wrap of what happened from Saturday up until Monday.
Scores of protesters gathered for day 2 of the Stop Galamsey demonstration. On the first day, the police stated that they approached with a de-escalation mentality. However, on the second day, it seemed the approach shifted to if persuasion fails, force is applied mentality.
Anybody who pushes, our cause is arrest. Anybody who pushes this, our cause is arrest. Wallahi.
We're not here to find nobody.
If anybody thinks he's a man,
anybody who pushes it, that's it. We're not here to find no one.
Talk to them.
Listen to the Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, ACP Grace Ansa Akrufi.
We served a caution to the organizers of this demonstration that today the police were going to do whatever it took to maintain the peace, ensure security, law and order.
We are all involved. We are all.
Attempts by the protesters to demonstrate on the streets were foiled by the police, resulting in a scuffle and the arrest of some of them.
So Raf is one of the organizers of this protest, a member of Democracy Hub. Wait, just for some clarity, have you been arrested by the police?
We have been arrested because this is an arrest. Actually, you ask the protesters to leave wherever you're asking them to leave. Now we organize them to move away from the road. We were on the side, which is the pavement, and now we've been asked by the authorities to follow the police.
Stop doing Galamsey. Just stop Galamsey for us. We want our mother Ghana back. We want our mother Ghana back. Oh, we want it back. Yo.
Police also attempted to tow a vehicle containing the protesters' sound system, water, food, and other basic necessities. They resisted, but the police eventually succeeded in towing the vehicle away.
There's a scuffle now between. So you can see what is happening right now in the background. Oh! You can see that. It's beginning to get chaotic now. Personnel of the Ghana Police Service trying to arrest one of the protesters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 police officers. 9 police officers trying to drag one of the protesters away. His colleagues will join. Quite a number of them with shields. None on the street. Police still trying to take this demonstrator away. His friends resisting the attempt to take him away. Now he's down on the floor with some of the policemen. It's a big struggle.
At a press conference later, 62-year-old Democracy Hub member Na Adeswa called for the release of those arrested.
We wish to remind the Ghana Police Service and the government that their duty is to protect the rights and safety of all citizens, not to suppress them. The decision to escalate violence against peaceful demonstrators is not only a violation of our constitutional freedoms, but also an affront to the democratic values upon which our nation was built. Release all arrested protesters. The 15 individuals, including an 8-year-old child who was unlawfully arrested during the protest, must be released immediately.
And of course, we're keeping an eye on the developing story in the courts because the protesters, those that were arrested, are being put before court today. Their plea will be taken, and I will speak to their lawyers as well. Remember, I said we've got an exclusive for you. The former Supreme Court judge, retired Supreme Court judge, Justice Atuguba, he speaks about the illegal money menace. He also spoke about appointment to the Apex Court and, of course, the posture of the Electoral Commission ahead of the December 7 general election. But before we do that, the National Labour Commission has made a raft of recommendations to the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations as part of efforts to avert a full-blown labour unrest. 5 unions, including the Senior Staff Association of Public Universities, the Ghana Association of University Administrators and Tertiary Education Workers, TEWU, have already downed their tools protesting unresolved allowances issues. Adding to this wave of dissatisfaction is the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, which is set to resume their strike next week, just after ending the longest industrial action in their history, citing government's failure to honor the agreement. Dr. Dominic Owusu, spokesperson for the College of Education Teachers Union of Ghana, explains the reasons for the intended action.
Said that having called off the strike, they are going to expedite action and then work on the migration. Remember, during the NDC era, the migration was done within 2 weeks. We migrated from GS to the current payroll within 2 weeks.
Okay.
So when we declared our strike on the 14th of June, we promised that at West they are going to migrate us within 1 month. And as I speak to you right now, the timelines that we agreed upon which the strike was called off has still not been done. It looks as if we have to go on strike to make duty bearers perform their legitimate duties that every month the government of Ghana pays them. It is because of our strike that is why they were expediting action. We thought that having gone on strike for 3 consecutive times, government would have learned the lesson. This strike that led to 2 people dying and then also 1 person snatching phones and being beaten and then also losing so much. Government has still not learned her lessons. And as I speak to you, you'll be surprised that the offline data that the technical committee worked on has not come to the college.
Also, the Mortuary Workers Association of Ghana, therefore cited a government failure to address long-standing demands for improved pay, better working environment, and adequate personal protective equipment. Now, Director of Grievances and Negotiations at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Professor Charles Adabo Opom, has expressed surprise at the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAC, threat to strike again. He emphasized that CTAC's concerns are being addressed following the arbitration award.
First, with respect to the CTAC issues, I think they had about 2 months strike, industrial action. You were aware. We got to the table with them to address their concerns. Largely, it was about extending the public universities' allowances to tutors of the colleges of education. But before we could do that, we needed to conduct what we call the HR audit, of which DTEC, the regulator, did. Afterwards, we established those who qualify per the arbitration award. And so currently, the migration exercise is about coming to an end, which will then pave way for implementation. So those who qualify will then be giving the salaries due them in respect of the public university policy structure. Very much surprised because their principals, the Principals Association, which is FRINCOP, they are part of the been giving, some reports, updates on what we are doing. Currently, we are even compiling the report for the migration exercise, and we are also meeting them this week to give them a final briefing in terms of the migration exercise that we have conducted. And therefore, if they intend to proceed on any other tangent, that will not help the good cause of the education system, then obviously I'm surprised because they are aware that migration is ongoing. And migration, my brother, if you really understand the processes, you realize that it is not one offshore event that you can just take. You are migrating individual tutors one by one. So it takes time. And we have been able to use a month and some few days to complete the exercise. And so we are going to engage this week to give them the final briefing. And then everything, those maybe you have some issues, they will table, we address them. Then finally, we will send it to Minister of Finance for onward submissions to controller. And then those deserving staff obviously will be paid. So we have done our part. And therefore, I do expect that since they have been involved, their principals have been involved, they have been giving updates, they know whatever that we have been doing. I'll be very much surprised if they really want to go on strike.
So again, Professor Charles Adabo stated that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is actively meeting with the leadership of the Mortuary Workers Association to address and resolve the implementation of the grievances as well.
regarding MUAC, which is the Mortuary Workers Union, they have also submitted some concerns. We have examined them. Fair Wages is always committed to addressing industrial issues. And we have established that the issues that they have raised largely borders on implementation, which is really within the domain of the Ministry of Health and its agencies. We are still committed, though we have been able to negotiate with them in terms of whatever that they submitted. Those agreements have been reached, but in terms of implementation, that is where the issues lie. And we are still committed to that. We have even invited them to a meeting this week to look at how best we can also facilitate implementation for.
Well, another subject we are also keeping an eye on is news that broke this afternoon. The government says it is in the process of processing the judgment that due Trafigura following interest to attach several Ghanaian property in South Africa to enforce the judgment debt won against Ghana. It will be recalled that the UK tribunal issued a final award after it concluded that Ghana breached its contractual obligation by terminating a power purchase agreement with Trafigura. Already, Ghana's Regina House in the UK has been put under receivership to defray the debt. My colleague, Kwakwa Santi, joins me with a copy of a letter from Trafigura to the Finance Ministry demanding a payment, or they go after assets in South Africa. So, Kwaku, walk us through this latest development.
Well, Elton, this is a letter dispatched from Trafigura, directed at the Ministry of Finance. It was sent on the 23rd of September. It was received only this morning at the Finance Ministry. It's titled GPGC Settlement Discussions, further to our letter of September 20th, 2024, to which we have not yet received a response. We can confirm that we have today filed the relevant papers to commence enforcement of the arbitral award in South Africa. As a courtesy, we have enclosed at Annex 1 the filings for this letter as service on the government of Ghana through diplomatic channels, and that may take some months. In addition to the 16 banks based in the US that DPC has subpoenaed as evidence in the attach of Annex 2, we plan to issue further subpoenas to US-based corporations with ties to the government of Ghana later this week with further action below. We would nevertheless like to reiterate the message of our previous correspondent that we would prefer not to take any further enforcement action and instead resolve the matter amicably by fully executing this. And this is signed by Patrick Berg, the director of GPGC. So they are making two threats. First, that they are trying to enforce this judgment debt in South Africa, and that will mean that Ghana's assets in South Africa will come under threat. They are going to seize those. And also, they are also going to issue subpoenas to several banks that Ghana is affiliated to in the US, UK, and other parts of the world to ensure that the $111 million debt that Ghana owes Trafigura by way of that default judgment that was given by the tribunal will be taken into effect. So two-pronged approach that Trafigura is using, threatening first to go after Ghanaian properties in South Africa, and then probably garnishing Ghanaian accounts that are all over the world to try and get this amount of money defrayed. And that is the threat that has come in. The Finance Ministry, as per this letter, which we received a copy of, have received this just this morning. And the threat is that they are going to seize Ghanaian properties in South Africa and also ensure that Ghanaian bank accounts outside the country are also attached in terms of defraying this debt, Elton.
But there is a background to this. This latest development is not new. It's a new addition to what we already know. So walk us through the background regarding this particular matter.
Well, Elton, our viewers and our audience may recall that when the new government came into office in 2017, they did talk about what they called excess power, among other things. And there was an existing arrangement between the government of Ghana and Trafigura that the current government did terminate. And they terminated that arrangement because they believed that there was excess power, and they also raised matters of corruption and et cetera, that they were investigating the then Power Minister, Dr. Kwame Donko, who served under John Mahama over. And so this this contract was abrogated. Trafigura did indicate at the time that this termination was unlawful and proceeded to a UK tribunal to vindicate their rights. The UK tribunal did find in their favor that the termination of the contract was unlawful, that government was not entitled, the government of Ghana, was not entitled to actually terminate that agreement, for which reason it awarded over $134 million judgment debt against Ghana. For so many years after that, the government was still not paying, and Trafigura went again to U.S. court to get an enforcement of this, and then the court again ordered that the government of Ghana would have to be paying compound interest on this $134 million debt. And in all this, we understand that it's even in the tune of almost $111 million because of the compound interest issue. So that is the genesis of this matter, a power purchasing agreement that was terminated by the new government, and which Trafigura did contend that that termination was unlawful, proceeded to the court, to the tribunal in the United Kingdom, and also to the courts in the U.S. to get these rights vindicated. And Elton, in the last few hours, we are learning from the Attorney General office that certain measures are being taken, and around $43 million or so is being processed to pay Trafigura, to defray parts of this debt, to ensure that Trafigura comes to the table and not attach Ghanaian properties all over the world to defray these debts.
But do we know when this money will be paid? Is it today, tomorrow? Do we know when?
We understand the Attorney General is working on this as soon as today, and this will take, of course, it go through certain procedures. And so from Joy News, you're unable to confirm when exactly Trafigura will receive this over $40 million that government is paying as part of defraying this debt. But we understand the Finance Ministry has already committed itself. The Office of the Attorney General is currently working on ensuring that this money hit the bank accounts of Trafigura, perhaps in the next few hours or in the next few days, so that Trafigura does not carry out the threat of attaching Ghanaian properties in South Africa.
Right, Kwaku, thank you so much for that update. Let me take you back to the court. Our earlier story about the police taking the arrested Democracy Hub, members to court so that former charges can be preferred against them. Nia Dukwe Kujo is lawyer for Fix the Country demonstrator. He's lawyer for them. Ni, you welcome to the pause, and I'm guessing that finally you've cited your clients.
Good afternoon. A quick correction. I am with Lawyers for Defense of Protest.
Right.
So we are lawyers who are providing our services to the protesters who have been arrested.
Right.
We have cited them. They moved them around, but thankfully we have cited them. They have brought some of them to courts 6 and 10 in Accra this afternoon, and they have preferred charges against them.
And what justification did the prosecutors or the police give the court regarding the arrest?
Well, they have charged them on 3 counts. The first is causing damage to paraphernalia belonging to political parties, causing unlawful. The second is causing unlawful damage. And the third is conspiracy to have an unlawful assembly. These are the charges they have prepared against them. The indication is that they have not, it's just for them to comply with the 48-hour rule. And we know that these are intended just to show where power lies, and they are not intended to be any serious prosecution. But without prejudicing the processes, we are saying that with the track record of the police when it comes to brutality, and with the complicity of our justice system when it comes to issues of upholding the safety and respect for the rights of citizens to protest, it's important to maintain public scrutiny on the whole process so that the safety and rights of these protesters will be respected.
So I don't know whether you managed to secure bail for them or they'll be spent another night in police cells.
Well, my colleagues are on the beat on that in court, and we are still monitoring the situation. Would apply for bail. In fact, we had dispatched lawyers to as many courts as possible to be on standby because we did not know the whereabouts of our clients. We didn't know the police stations they had sent them to. We didn't know which courts they were going to send them to. So what we decided to do is to have as many of our colleague lawyers be on standby at various courts, and we are ready. We were told they moved some of them to the police headquarters. Then suddenly they brought them to the court 10 and 6. And so my colleagues who are presently at the court 6 and 10 would do the needful to apply for bail for the arrested protesters that have been brought to the.
But what is your general understanding of the police action? I heard one of the arrested. I don't want to describe him as protester because he said that he had just closed from church. He was on his way home and was arrested along with other people. And as of the time that he was speaking, he had not been told the reason why he had been arrested, and now he's before court.
I think that the whole handling of the protest by the police leaves a lot to be desired. We are not in a police state. It's a democracy. Let me illustrate so the public would have a better understanding of what we are saying.
Right.
For instance, when there is an international event, the police will block the street and say we should use other roads so that the participants of those events will have unhindered access to those roads. That doesn't cause any damage. But when the people of this country, the sovereign people of this country, a section of them are protesting the reckless destruction of our environment. In fact, environmental terrorism currently going on. The police is saying that they would not allow them to protest on the street. The police is saying that even they standing on the shoulders of the road, on the pavement, is unlawful assembly. We find this very unacceptable. And we are saying that if this country is really a democracy, what the police has done is completely administrative tyranny. They want to show where power lies. It's just those days when they will say orders from above, so we'll just arrest you. A proper policing for a democracy should have understood and respected the rights of these demonstrators. You shared a video where the police was forcefully trying to remove the truck that had the essentials for the demonstrators. I'm talking about water, I'm talking about supplies they had, the PA system. When it was parked under the shade, what justifies this? And then you arrest the people. It's unnecessary escalation of the situation just to give, quote unquote, a dog a bad name so you can hang them. We think that the conduct of the police leaves a lot to be desired. And therefore, it is important to maintain public scrutiny on the police and the judicial system to ensure that the rights of the citizens are respected. Article 1 of the 1992 Constitution says that the power of this country is reserved in the people, and it is for their welfare that all the powers of the state are supposed to be exercised. So if the citizens are coming to say that our water bodies are being destroyed, the forests that even the colonial masters reserved are being destroyed, and nobody is respecting this. The president has not called a state of emergency as everybody is calling for, and the police rather think that touching barricades is unlawful conduct. They would arrest, but they will not go into the forest to arrest those who are destroying our water bodies and our forests. Then it is really condemnable, and we are calling on the general public to rise up against what is happening. It is the future of this country we are talking about.
Right.
We can all not import water. We can not all go and pay huge medical bills when our health fails us. So this is not the kind of policing we expect when we are calling the duty bearers to action.
I hear you. Counsel, wait for the outcome of the court proceedings today, and then we can have a better reaction to how all this thing unfolds.
We thank you for your interest and continue to report. Continue to tell the story of the demonstrators without any biases, and the posterity will be the better judge. We are grateful for the support of multimedia.
Thank you so much. And as usual, the media will be fair in the reportage of this very important matter. And that's Ni Adukwe Kujo, member, Lawyers for Protest Defense. And of course, you heard my colleague Kenneth Jesse. The matter is now before court. They are taking their plea, and then when the proceeding is over, we'll get to understand the development on this matter. This is the pause here on Jones. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll bring you that conversation with retired Supreme Court Judge Justice Atuguba, who is unhappy with the appointments to the Supreme Court. Welcome back to the show. This is the pause, and now to our exclusive. A former Supreme Court Judge, Justice Atuguba, has raised concerns about recent appointments to the Superior Courts, alleging that senior judges are being overlooked in favor of less qualified candidates due to factors unrelated to merit or established protocols. The former judge questioned the integrity of the selection process, suggesting that consideration outside the accepted norms may be influencing these judicial appointments. Some recent appointments by President Akufo-Addo to the Apex Court are yet to be approved by Parliament. I sat down with Justice Atuguba for this exclusive interview, and this is what he had to say on the issues of illegal mining, on the conduct or the posture of the Electoral Commission chairperson, and of course, the appointment to the Supreme Court. That is all for you. But that's our show for today. My name is Elton Brobe. This is the pulse, and it's very interesting that the pulse is coming to you in an evening setting, but that is what it is. We are privileged to be in the home of retired Supreme Court Judge William Atuguba, and we're going to speak about a lot of issues, and we are happy to be in your presence, Justice.
Thank you.
And I was telling your son that the last time I met you, it was at the funeral of the late former President John Rawlings.
Okay.
And we had an interview at the car park of Parliament House. Okay. Yes. And
so that time you were much you were smaller.
Right. So so it's an honor to be in your home and to have this opportunity to have this interaction with you.
Thank you.
You're on retirement. How is retirement treating you?
Retirement is you are set at large, and to manage something at large, that's like the whole world. It's before you, and but the first port of call is the rest. I was there for 21 years, and it was intensive. Most of the time, and after stretching yourself all that while, you really need to take out the stress. So that's the main thing. But when I retired, 1st July 2018, I retired. 3rd July 2018, I was appointed chairman of the Independent Examinations Committee of the General Legal Counsel, as responsible for conducting and overseeing the examinations of the professional course.
Okay.
And then January 2019, I was invited by the Sierra Leone government to chair one of 3 parallel commissions of inquiry into the 10-year tenure of Bai Koroma, allegations of corruption, abuse of power. So I was there for 1.5 years. And then came back, and since then, I have decided to avoid traveling too much. When you are younger, you are excited to be traveling. Not now. My children are always eager. I should come to them. I feel they are grown. They should be on
their own.
Let me.
But you do have time to follow national discourse on national issues.
Oh, not so much. Except that, yes, to the extent that they appear on social media, on my phone. That's the main source.
Of course.
I see headlines, I look at them, and I read the interesting ones. Otherwise, I don't watch TV much, except there's something interesting, like international football involving Ghana. But otherwise.
So I take it therefore that you are a football fan.
Oh, to the limited extent of the involvement of the national team.
Okay.
Otherwise, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought the issue of national discourse because currently in the country we are dealing with a matter that has actually taken the attention of the entire country. The Ghana Water Company 2 weeks ago sounded the alarm bell when they said that in the weeks and months to come, they were going to find it difficult to purify water and popped me to Averos was because of activities of illegal mining. And that was a trigger. And then after that, everybody started talking about it. I mean, we are joining, we've done a lot of documentaries. The current Journalist of the Year, Erasa Saradonko, he won the award because of the work he did around illegal mining. Now, almost everybody, the organized labor, all interest group, they've all voiced their sentiments against the wanton destruction of the environment. You have been following the discourse. What is your take on what is happening?
It's very disheartening. We are kind of tearing the resources of the country asunder, devastating our means of livelihood, because basically we are an agricultural, country, and once that base is destroyed, I mean, you can imagine the catastrophic effect on food prices, food availability, even the quality of it. Understand this Galamsey thing involves cyanide and these kinds of chemicals and so forth. And the water we drink is heavily silted with these pollutants. Understand the destruction has even gone to producing deformed children. That's as serious as that. I mean, when I mention this, I really get tensed up. Can't imagine that. And well, to interest you, while I was on the bench, when you're on the bench, you're very restricted, your movement. But once, we're hearing these things once in a while. And once I was traveling to Kumasi, and I think it's the River Pra.
Right.
I saw the water in it. It was clay. So when I came back, I told my colleagues, look, this thing is very serious. And let's put conservatism aside. I mean, it's true, judges don't act on their own. Unless parties, litigant, come and invoke litigation before them, and then they resolve. So we are supposed to stay neutral until we are approached by litigating parties, and we adjudicate impartially. Nonetheless, these things are common law principles. The common law is the handiwork of the judges, beginning from England. They formulated these rules for the benefit of society.
Right.
And it is inherent in the common law that it is not static. And the courts advance its frontiers to solve the challenges of society. And so no principle should be regarded as fixed for all time. Even the most important book, the Bible, which is the most sacrosanct, the most authoritative law. What did Jesus say? The law is made for man, and not man for law.
Right.
So when this thing was going on, and I was not seeing any serious countermeasures, I was telling my colleagues, look, let's take it upon ourselves and summon the relevant authorities and order them to put down this menace. But I wasn't getting support.
You didn't get enough support with the drive you wanted to take?
Yeah, I didn't get any support. But I'm not surprised. I think I was going too far. in terms of, being proactive. That requires quite a fundamental leap in judicial processes, which, it's not so easy to let people fall for it like that.
But I mean, talking about the court, I don't know whether you followed the just ended conference of the Ghana Bar Association in Kumasi. The Attorney General, when he had the opportunity, mentioned, for example, that currently before the court, they have 850 illegal minors who are facing trial for and that they've also prosecuted a number of them. But there's also the other side, which says that, for example, some of the foreign nationals that are held before the court, the reason why some of them are let go is because they don't even have interpreters to help in getting conviction. So in the absence of that, sometimes it's difficult to make progress on those cases. The reason why some of them are let go.
Well, I'm completely surprised about this. Because what kind of language is there? Unless it is very obscure, that you can't get Ghanaian personnel to interpret. I mean, the greatest actors in this are the Chinese. I think so. I mean, I'll be surprised to hear that we don't have people who have studied the Chinese language to the requisite degree to be interpreters. They look for them from the relevant sources. Can get them.
But again, the Chinese angle and the fact that they come from China, the area that they are operating is reserved for Ghanaians, small-scale mining for Ghanaians. So clearly, they have local actors that open the way for them to engage in this illegality. So in terms of the dealing with the issue from the base, in 2017, President Akufo-Addo put his presidency on the line. Some will do evaluation and say that nothing much, in fact, the situation is much worse than when he committed to fight it. You have been watching. You think that leadership failure is to blame for what is happening?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the state doesn't operate itself. That's why we have the presidency, the ministers. The drive is an executive government where we are doing. And basically under the Constitution, the president has the duty to execute and implement the laws of the country. As he has to see to the execution and implementation. He is the chief. As plenary authority, he is super. All the others are really agents of the president, the ministers and so forth. And so he is a chief steward of the state. He has far-reaching powers of control. And he is the appointing authority for most of these people. Well, you cannot expect him to be everywhere, but for him to get the requisite information. I mean, the presidency has how many workers?
Thousands.
Thousands. I mean, why will he not be well informed? I'm sure he has his media segment to brief him. The ministers are there, Minerals Commissioner, all these people. I mean, I don't know. He's the chief commander-in-chief of the armed forces and so forth, the police. And so.
But others are acting on his behalf. For example, there's a minister designated for lands and natural resources. His main objective really is to lead these fights and to report to the presidency that this is the task you gave me, this is the result. Now the result we are seeing is not one that we are proud of. There are those who are demanding his resignation. Is it a call that you support?
Well, I think this is for everybody to answer. You simply measure the call against the extent of the default, the ravages done to the environment. All this while, 7 years, I think getting to 8 years.
Almost 8 years.
And it's not so easy to defeat it, but at least it should be contracting progressively. But it's expanding for the worse. You know, that's the, I mean, and so can you say that the powers that be have lived up to their mandate? So, and that's why he can hire and fire. If sometimes they even just reshuffle, change positions.
So in this case, perhaps will you support the call that the president must fire the ministers responsible for this fight, this issue of Galamsey, and the evidence on the ground suggests that it's been a total failure?
Well, I think to some extent we are all to blame, because this, look, this is the time to, the president has how many months to exit office?
Less than 3 months.
This is the time to start calling for these sort of things. If he fires and brings in a new, I mean, how much work can he do within this time? And these are politicians. It's election season. They are distracted, they're going about campaigning with probably members of campaign teams of whatnot. I mean, this call should have come much earlier. I don't think that the timing is anything.
Meaning that whether you sack or maintain, it will make no difference?
Not any serious difference, but we can push them to do more.
But on moral grounds, and the fact that looking at the evidence on the ground, I mean, some have suggested that in any advanced country, the minister will simply just just step away.
Yes, but not in Africa. That's the unfortunate thing. That's a standard practice. You can see even the Prime Minister Britain, how many of them have left the scene?
A lot of them.
Yeah, well, somebody came even not even 2 weeks or 3 weeks to go. Another one and so forth. On principle, they act on principle. And that's what is lacking in the African system. Principle is thrown to the gutters. Principle is alien to our national life. It's opportunism. It is party affiliation, party loyalty, personal loyalty. These are the things. And it's very, very, very unfortunate.
But in the midst of this, the other angle is also that we as citizens perhaps are not angry enough to demand accountability for the people we have voted for and entrusted the destiny of this country into their hands. So we talk and then we go to sleep and pick up the next subject the next day. So people take advantage of our seemingly weakness and then still, even when they have failed.
Well, that's why I was saying that this Galamsey failure, we're all partly to blame because the citizens, now they are waking up at the 11th hour. Why? Was the damage not there all along? And the effects, were not feeling them. The warnings from the Ghana Water and Sewage and the environmental protection agencies. Even at National Ivory Coast had reason to complain that they were trying to poison their water and so forth. I mean, so one problem with the African terrain is that the great mass of the citizenry they are either semi-literate or illiterate. So, you see, governance is not really much of their daily lives. They're busy on their farms, marketplaces, trying to, these are the things. And so, much of it will depend on the educated folk. And the educated folk is our public and civil servants. It's not easy for them to stick out their necks, you know, the consequences they will fear, victimization and all that. And so it's that with the TUCs, the private society, and how many of the private citizens belong to civil society organizations? You know, not many of them. And we have many civil society organizations, but the membership, the numerical strength, and then the organizational drive of this organization to bond with the people, you know, bring them on board, increase their awareness, and strike the march of action, you know, to burn in their minds. And so, so the active citizenry is a shriveled thing. Yeah.
So just two more questions that we can move away from illegal mining to other subjects. You know, the call by the TUC and the other organized groups, they made three demands. One is for government to declare a state of emergency around river bodies, and then another one for government to implement a temporary ban of illegal mining, then more especially small-scale mining. Government response was that we cannot ban small-scale mining now because some are doing legitimate mining. Those ones who are polluting the environment are doing so because they don't have license. So if you implement a blanket ban, you are being unfair to those who have licenses and they are not disturbing the environment. And government goes on to say that the call for a state of emergency around river bodies will also not be honored. Instead, government has tasked regional ministers in the mining areas to undertake swoops with the military and police and possibly seize mining equipment belonging to these illegal miners and destroy them. Are these measures what we need?
Well, you have to view them against so many factors, the realities on the ground and so forth. But even the argument that those that are licensed cannot be checked. I don't know. I haven't been to these places. It's not. I don't have the technical, but it doesn't mean that if you have a license to do something, you can use it anyhow. You know, does not necessarily mean. I mean, if they say that, from what you are saying, it means they are not degrading the environment. Is that true?
That's according to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister.
Really?
But some are doing underground mining.
Yeah.
And such exercise does not contaminate the water. They've employed thousands of people. Indeed, yesterday, the president of the National House of Chiefs makes the point that banning illegal mining or small-scale mining will render a lot of people jobless. And so he will not even support that.
Well, so long as they are doing it legally and not contaminating, well, there's no problem about that. It's lawful, it's harmless. Well, I'm not so sure it's like that. I'm not so sure. Because sometimes on tele we see these huge excavators. Are we saying that they don't belong to some of these small-scale licensed miners? I mean, look at the downtrodden people. Can they own those excavators? and use them to, no, they go with pickaxes and whatnot, shovels and these sort of things, you know. So I don't know how credible that claim is. It has to be scrutinized. I'm not sure that that's what is happening.
We are also in an election year, and I mean, the criticism against those who are vying to leave this country, the criticism against them is that none of them has been bold enough to say that I will ban small-scale mining, maybe for a year or 2 or 3, and then use the opportunity to see how I can sanitize the system before I can allow any kind of mining at that particular level. We've not heard a definite, pronouncement from any of them. Should Ghanaians hold them strictly to make such a pronouncement? Should that be the determinant factor in deciding who we should vote for in December?
Well, what should determine voters? It's not any blanket ban. It's the harassment of the degradation of the environment. That is the core thing at stake, you know. This country, policies and whatnot, laws can be churned out, very ineffective. Those things, to me, don't impress me. It's the action on the ground. One results, the thing to stop. We announce a ban and it's still going on. Is there really no ban? Because, as you said, instructions have been given for bulldozers and whatnot to be seized. That's a kind of ban, but is it effective? Is the efficacy, for me, I always look at substance. Yeah, and look, let me tell you, this country, look. It's easy for people to say, oh, we are fighting corruption, we have put in place all kinds of laws and whatnot. The laws operate themselves.
No.
I mean, if not, then they are just put there as a deception. I'll put it that way. Complete deception, a fraud on the people.
The laws?
I mean, putting them and not activating.
Them.
Yeah, it's a fraudulent way of exercising power. Very fraudulent, deceitful. Yes.
So how do we go around this?
You just give an impression that, oh, we are fighting, and you know that on the ground it's vacuous. I mean, what is this? That's the trouble with this country. We're very hypocritical, very uncommitted, very unprincipled, very corrupt. That's the trouble with Ghana. Unless everybody makes a turnaround, committed to constitutionalism, to proper governance in the interest of the people, we're wasting our time.
This government, for example, will say that they have resourced the anti-corruption agencies more than any other government. There's a setup of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The budget for Strike has witnessed an astronomical increment. The police have been empowered to do so. You say that all of these exist, and yet corruption is so high on the agenda?
Yeah, well, that's the point I'm making, that these things can be there as theories. And the operational effect is what I'm interested in. Now, if these things are put in place, what is the oversight, result, the supervision? If you resource them, you have to see whether results are forthcoming. If not, why?
So if we have all of these organs of state working to
I wouldn't say working. Okay. They are there, but not working.
If the claim is that they've been resourced to fight corruption, and we have laws to back them, and it's not working, then how do we deal with the issue of corruption?
Well, that is it. That's why it's a leadership problem in Africa generally. It's a moral issue. matter of conscience, commitment, true commitment to operationalizing the Constitution we have adopted for ourselves, trying to serve the people genuinely. If these are there, those things, people will take steps, keen steps to see that these institutions work to produce results. If that is not the case, that's what I'm saying, sometimes these are instruments for fraud. I put it that way.
And you seem to have, in a way, given up on this fight.
Some are doing well, to some extent. And even the content of the laws. I mean, look at the U.S. Their way of going after illegal wealth, I mean, it's more effective. I studied their system, how they go about it, and adopt it. Sometimes, look, I even heard one day on television or something that there was a clause which would have made the special prosecutor more effective. It was taken out.
During the consideration of the bill?
I should think so. Or whatever stage, but it was taken out.
But this matter of a law to regulate the conduct of public officers, it's been in the books for so long, yet to be passed by Parliament. You think that can help cure this canker?
Conduct.
Or will this come up to add up to the several laws we have, but yet implementation becomes an issue?
Yeah, if we were implementing the number of laws we have already, we don't need more. We would have won the battle.
So it's a leadership issue?
Oh, sure.
And we don't have that kind of leader we can trust to fight corruption in the country as of now?
Well, if we had, it wouldn't be in the situation we are in. We conservative lawyers say, sometimes say, res ipsa loquitur.
What about the courts? Has the court been...
The thing speaks for itself.
What about the courts? Has the court been proactive also enough in helping deal with these matters?
Well, that much. I was in the Supreme Court handling constitutional and whatnot matters. I wouldn't know too much. We deal with things that come before us.
In time past, some judges have been accused of also being part of the corruption brigade.
Oh, sure. And as expose, some have been dismissed, as we know. So that is it. It's part of it. And that's why I'm saying that I don't know. It's a very big problem. And it all revolves around genuine commitment to provide good and effective governance, the interests of the people. You see, and that will affect the institutions in terms of recruitment. You don't put people there in terms of cronyism, ethnicity, tribe, patronage. These things, we know they happen. You can't get any serious thing happening with that way of doing things. And it's persisting. And we know it. And that is the trouble with this country and most African countries.
So we are yet to see
we are not committed to constitutionalism. We are not committed to the rule of law. We are not committed to exercising, assuming governmental power for and in the interest of the people. That's a fundamental thing. Our constitution is a very beautiful one. If we're operating it, man, look, what does Article 1, Clause 1 say? The sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of government are to be exercised in the manner and within the limits laid down in this Constitution. That is the most paramount provision of this Constitution. Are we saying that our governance system is working this principle? I mean, in terms of appointment, in terms of fighting corruption, who are those engaging in corruption in this country? From the media, from what we see it published on social media, and I mean, we know. Yeah, we know.
So if the laws are not working, or we don't have people who are strictly implementing the law, then how do we win this fight?
That's a complex system. The best way is civic activism. Civic activism. The people, they say the power, so they must rise up and see to it that the powers are really exercised to their benefit, and insist. You know, it's now beginning, but although late, but it's better than never. There are so many civil societies fix the country. What time I see demonstrations, TUC, these things. If and then if leadership will cooperate with them.
But in a society where we've actually monetized our politics,
yes,
and there's no end in sight, in terms of ending this monetization of our politics. I mean, it takes thousands, if not millions, to win a seat in parliament. Not to talk of the presidency. So even before you get there, there's a debt that you need to pay.
Sure.
So when you are in such an environment where political funding is another subject we have to deal with, then clearly the fight against corruption will never be won until we deal with the fundamental issue.
Well, that's very correct. But it's a fundamental issue, but it's a complex issue. Because how does it happen? That's why I talk about commitment. Those buying votes, don't they know that it's an offense? It's a criminal offense. Under the Criminal Code Offences Act.
In fact, the Office of Special Prosecutor is prosecuting some of them.
Yeah, but how many of them? I mean, oh Lord. Imagine this country. A few years ago, before I retired, you know, I was so much out of touch with so many things. And my younger brother advised me to get a radio because I wasn't in touch with whatever. From office, I come home, I go to church, come back. And when we gave the decision on the fast-track court, its constitutionality, I was on that panel. Unknown to me, well, it's my younger brother who told me the following day. I said, hey, did you sleep here? He was surprised. All my colleagues didn't sleep in their houses. This decision you gave was very hot, and you are here?
This was the case between Chachukata
Yes. And I saw some stoutly built policemen on my campus. I said, oh, what are you doing here? So because of the decision we gave, so that's why.
They had come to give you protection?
Yes. I don't know. Me, I just feel that these are normal things. You are a judge, they bring a case, you look at it, you do your best, you give the decision you are convinced of in terms of the facts and the law, and that is that. That's how I saw it. These things. So, so when I got a radio, I was shocked. I think that was
maybe after the election petition or before?
Oh, long before that. Yeah, long before. This fast track thing was around.
This was around 2001.
Yeah,
yes.
thereabouts. Yeah, and I was shocked that after the elections, some MPs were bold enough to come on air and call upon their constituents to return the goodies they doled out to them, fridges, TV sets, and money.
It was a loss.
Yes, it was a loss. Look at a country like this. I mean, are we serious? It is multiply criminal to do that. They know it, and they can even come out boldly. And it's happening, and everybody knows. Huh? Look, recently on social media, a prospective parliamentary candidate, I think Bolgatanga East or something, if I'm right, said, oh, if the incumbent gives 1,000, he will give 3,000. Openly like this. And that's the system anyway. That's what is happening. Are we serious? And nobody, and these are our leaders doing that. The political parties are at the forefront of our leadership formation and process. And that's what they are doing. From presidential candidates down to parliamentary candidates, district level elections. And the country is, I mean, conscience, morality, fear of God, rule of law, these things, I'm sorry.
They are gone.
They are gone.
We are in another election year,
Yeah.
and in less than 3 months, we'll decide who will lead this country, and then 276 members of parliament. Already there's been, the NDC appears to have issues with the way the Electoral Commission is going about in the conduct of the December 7th election. They demonstrated 2 days ago. The EC insists that the voters register is clean, and for that reason, they will not allow any external body to audit it. I don't know what your position is on this matter.
Well, fact is, what we have seen on social media, provided they are true, while you are dealing with politicians, that's the main issue. Because sometimes some things are done just for what they call politics. I don't know what they conceive that to mean. They say it's politics. I mean, you are doing something dishonest and nonsensical, it says politics. And it seems to be an acceptable rhyme. You know?
Which one are you referring to exactly?
I'm talking about the general way the politics is practiced.
Right.
It looks as if anything can be said, anything can be done, whether it's true or false sometimes. And they call it politics. You hear these social commentators and even some of these political actors say, oh, it's politics, it's politics as usual. I mean, what do we, oh Lord.
So we should accept it.
Now I'm coming. So, what I've seen on social media, I cannot really get to the bottom of what because, you know, they are saying one thing, MPP, they are saying one thing. As far as MPP is concerned, they have...
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the register.
Yes. And these people are pointing to, first they say that some transfers
were done illegally. They claim that over 240,000 names have entered the register illegally, and they want it audited. The EC says that it is an independent body. As far as they are concerned, they've done what is needed to be done to clean the register. So the party should accept it.
Oh, I mean, I would have thought that, but I thought they said they should come on board and they will look at these issues and they should, some say they should raise it at IPAC.
Right.
Now you see, look, if you are a patient, you're sick, you want to go for treatment, you know that this particular doctor, if you say in the village, it's handled so many people have died. And you say I should go there. What do you mean? Are you serious? I should hand over my life for certain death? No, so if what they are saying is true, like you said, 200 and something, if that is true, well, the EC is the body mandated to do its work and to handle these things. But that's the trouble with this country. People can hide under the law, subvert it, become dictatorial, throw overboard the Constitution and the rule of law. That's what is happening in this country. It's terrible. And it has to be checked. You have power to exercise it, like I've read to you.
Right.
That to be exercised for the welfare and in the interest of the people. If you are not doing that, you don't have the power. You can have the power to do only what is right. Can't just say I'm the authority, so what I'm doing, whether it's wrong or right, is finished. Cannot be so. It's a principle. This Constitution has ordained constitutionalism. And look, it's a beautiful Constitution. We are just not serious about it. Let me read this thing here. Article 3, Clause 4.
Right.
All citizens of Ghana shall have the right and duty at all times, A, to defend this Constitution, and in particular, to resist any person or group of persons seeking to commit any of the acts referred to in Clause 3 of this article, and B, to do all in their power to restore this Constitution after it has been suspended, overthrown, or abrogated as referred to in Clause 3. Now, Clause 3 says, any person who by himself or in concert with others, by any violent or other unlawful means, suspends or overthrows or abrogates this Constitution or any part of it, or attempts to do any such act, or aids and abets in any manner any person referred to in paragraph A of this clause, the offense of high treason, commits the offense of high treason, and shall upon conviction be sentenced to suffer death. And then all citizens have the right to uphold, to resist those acts.
Right.
So, and look, let's look at this, the duties of a citizen. The most relevant parties, 41B, to say the exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedoms is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations, and accordingly it shall be the duty of every citizen, B, to uphold and defend this Constitution and the law. So, look, and then you have the fundamental rights. You have the right to vote and to be registered. And let us look at the duties of the Electoral Commission itself before we can.
Right.
What 5D? The Electoral Commission shall have the following functions. A, B, okay, let's read it. To compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. B, to demarcate the electoral boundaries for both national and local government elections. C, to conduct and supervise all public elections and referenda. D, to educate the people on the electoral process and its purpose. Then, let's go to 46, independence of the Commission.
Right.
Except as provided in this Constitution or in any other law not inconsistent with the Constitution, in the performance of its duties, the Electoral Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. They say, except as provided in this Constitution. So you see, it's those words mean a lot. Because if somewhere you say the citizen has a right to defend the Constitution and the law, and Clause 1, Article 1, Clause 1 says, the power shall be exercised in the interest and for the welfare of the people.
There's also the protection for the independence of the Electoral Commission.
Yes, but it's subject to say, subject to, except as provided in this Constitution. You see, so those other powers given to the citizenry are provided by the Constitution.
So in terms of fairness and transparency, you think that the Electoral Commission will at least allow itself to be audited as we head towards the elections?
Well, there's an administrative matter. I don't know if they have received these complaints from the opposition parties. All those things they have. Are they saying that they've gone through them and...
well, the NDC, for example, presented some of their issues before. The NDC said they investigated and corrected some of them. Some they admitted that, I mean, there were errors had been made. The electoral officer was suspended and currently, according to the EC, is being taken to due process. So for them, they have addressed all the issues the NDC raised, and for that reason, there was no need for them to embark on that demonstration. But the NDC insists, and other people insist that in the interest of fairness and transparency, allow other people to look at what you have so that we all go into the elections with a clean mind.
Well, so then, what's the problem with the EC in this? What's the problem? Now, have they forwarded the corrections and whatnot they say they've done to the opposition parties to be sure that these things have been effected?
Well, the NDC insists on another exhibition so that they can look at the document again and be sure that the concerns they have been addressed.
Yeah, I think I chanced on some TV discussion and it appears the EC man was saying that there will be no further exhibition.
Yes, for now.
For now. And when again? Would there be any other exhibition before the election? And within adequate time for people to raise matters?
So what do you want done?
Yeah, so, I mean, to be sure that the matters have been really addressed, you know, they have to let the people see in what way they've addressed them. Okay. You see, look, let's just want Article 51. The Electoral Commission shall, by constitutional instrument, make regulations for the effective performance of its functions under this Constitution. So that's their duty, to make the regulation to achieve effective performance. not just exercise power, but for the effective obtention of the object of the power. That is their power. So if that is not manifestly shown, they are not actually acting within their constitutional power. That's the trouble with Africa. We just love power, we just look at it, and want to, I'm the one in charge and that's it. That's not constitutionalism. That is not it. And unless we get out of that and say that the law is not any private person's property, it is the most public and most binding system of doing things. Everybody is under that. Lest we get that done, people feel just too powerful, and that's what happens. Now, how does the independent, I think some are saying that to interfere with the power side. In what way? They're only trying to let you see the facts of the matter more clearly. That's all they are doing. Look, I've been a judge before. The jurisdiction that is given to courts, that power belongs to the courts. It's not to be shared with anybody. But when it comes to certain naughty issues, during the election petition, we brought in KPMG to audit the pink sheets.
Right.
We did that to bring about transfer because it was a mixed up situation. One party was saying, oh, there's nothing wrong, we have not quadruple, we have not blatant. Another party, hey, there's. So we suspended sitting for a week or so for KPMG to do the audit. Okay. And then, normally, we, the courts, we don't like, well, we sit in public, but we don't like the media to come and, be taking pictures and all this kind of thing. Common law press, we don't do that. But we allow them so that they can cover the proceedings. But don't televise them like that. We are not a political body. So, but the election petition, we allowed it.
Of course, and these days it's been happening.
It's been happening.
CJ
yes.
allowed the cameras into the courtroom and all that.
Yes.
But since supporting the courts to open up,
yes,
and then to allow people to see really what is going on.
Yes, but we have the judicial has the absolute power over its yeah.
And that actually my final question I'm coming into, and it's about the overly politicization and attack of state institutions by political actors.
Yes.
And depending on where if you're in opposition, everything looks seem to be against you. If you're in power, it is the other way around. To the extent that even the appointment of judges to the Supreme Court is being challenged politically. What do you make of this? Is it a healthy development or something that must be dealt with?
It's yes and no. Look, it is all too easy to pretend that everything is fine, nothing is going wrong. When allegations of corruption were made against the judiciary, what happened? I mean, I met 3 lawyers. One of them was my cousin. It's not because he's my cousin I'm mentioning this. They were run down, banned from appearing before the courts for making those allegations. A few months later, an ask came. What happened? Did the corruption start from that time? So it is the thing with this country. People, that's why I'm saying, people just love the law. They take the power and subvert it. That's what's happening. They subvert it and feel that they have the power. That is not the power.
But should we have more judges?
I'm coming. So, and the appointment system. Why must some senior and more competent justices be left and others less experienced hoisted to the highest court? What is it about?
Is there some consideration coming from somewhere?
Well, but you just look at a prima facie in any institution. Right now it's happening. I understand there are grumbles in the police, in the army. Officers are being promoted above seniors. Why should these things happen? I think the judiciary is, I mean, the person doing that can't apply that to the judiciary. And as I say, look at the appointments. Find some very competent, very experienced in the Court of Appeal, in the High Court for many years. They are just sitting there. Others come for 2 minutes. Yeah. I mean, these things are happening.
And why is this so? Is there any other consideration beyond the laid down rules that governs the promotion and appointment of judges to certain aspects of our court, including the Supreme Court?
Well, if there were no other considerations, we wouldn't have grievances with the exercise of the power. Things were done in accordance with the law, the principles. I mean, for superior courts, there must be a person of high integrity and proving, honesty, this kind of thing. And must be a lawyer, if you are to go to the Supreme Court, of not less than 15 years standing. Right. What's the purpose of requiring 15 years standing? Is there somebody, you just look at the roll, the person was called at this date and has been in the archives for 15 years, therefore he qualifies? And that certainly is not. It is meant to let a person grow, system, get the requisite experience, be well equipped to come and do the job. But when you find somebody down the ladder, hoisted to the Supreme Court over, I mean, look. Let us not. This country will love to pretend. I'm telling you, I have to say this because this is what is happening.
All right.
If we don't get out of that and be sincere, respect the Constitution, and do things always with the consciousness that that power is not private power. It's public power for public purposes. And must be, that is the only power you have. Right. You don't have power to misuse the power. But now, over the years, I'm not saying that this thing started now. If you go back from Nkrumah's time, you see traces of it, probably it's been worsening over the years. But a sore which is left untreated
becomes something else in the future. Your Lordship, thank you so much for your time and opportunity.
That's okay. I'm sorry I've been a bit, but no.
I get it.
No.
Thank you so much for watching.
That's all right.